from Milroe at the start of this game. He's got to have it right now. And they take a downfield shot. And the catch is made. It's Ryan Williams, still spinning free. Touchdown, Alabama. They answer in one play. 75 yards for the 17-year-old. Are you kidding us? Georgia 20 yards away. Beck launches for the end zone. Jump ball. They intercepted. And Xavier Brown, the freshman, makes a game-saving play for Alabama.
Oh, welcome into Morning JOX. It is the Monday edition, September the 30th, and Alabama is back on top of the college football world. Oh, man. Conrad Van Order, Damian Mitchell with you here for the next hour. Man, we do not have enough time in the day to talk about what happened this weekend on the gridiron, Damian. I know you're wearing your Titans jersey. You're ready for tonight, but we have a lot to cover from what was, without a doubt, the best weekend of the college football season so far.
Seems like you're doing all right, my brother.
I'm so happy to be here, Damian. I have never walked into work. I mean, I couldn't sleep last night. I'm going to be honest with you, Damian. I got about 4 hours of sleep last night. I was so excited to get up here and do this show this morning and get to hear from everybody and get their reaction from the weekend. I know things didn't go as planned there on the plains of Auburn, and we have to talk about that as well. Lane Kiffin being Lane Kiffin. A lot of things going on, but at the end of the day, it all revolved around what happened in Tuscaloosa on Saturday night. And I mean, I know me and you were texting yesterday, and there's so much to talk about with this game. But first and foremost, that was the best non-playoff national championship setting.
Mm-hmm.
That was the best regular season college football game I think I've ever seen in my entire life. And from the way that it started, and I don't think that even in any Alabama fan wildest dreams that game could have started any better than it did, going up 28-0. But then for Georgia to come back the way they did, and then for it to come down to the true freshmen and Ryan Williams and Xavier Brown, as you heard in those clips, courtesy of ABC, it had literally everything that you could possibly want in a football game.
Mm-hmm.
That is what we got on Saturday night, Damian, in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, and when you look at just how that game went, one, my jaw was genuinely on the floor for the entire first quarter. I had a feeling that Kalen DeBoer, offensively, they're going to take some shots. They're going to have some big plays. But I kind of thought that Kirby would kind of feel things out, see where it goes. Oh, no, Sirski. Offensively, Alabama came out of the gate, and it felt like it was about to be built to ass all game long, dog. And one thing I will say, Kalen DeBoer is a tactician. Like, he is if he played chess, he knows exactly what move to make. When they were down there in the red zone, and they motion jam out on the go ball when he ended up catching in the end zone, I saw it develop. I was like, oh, they're in man. Like, they're just checking to see if they're in man. He keeps it going. He's asking a linebacker to go across the field and try to catch Jam Miller in the end zone. Jalen drops it in the bucket. If there's any question about Jalen Milroe's accuracy, even in big-time games, oh, he's the complete quarterback now. Like, we are getting the Jalen Milroe that we've always been looking for, because we know he can do with his legs. You saw that on that 4th and 1. And then to see what he was able to do, he was carving up this secondary like they were children. And you flip that around to the other side, first half Carson Beck, I legitimately thought he was going to, I thought he was going to like defecate on himself, bro. Like, he looked like a freshman, not a freshman in college, a freshman in high school that's looking across a college football team. He was shook. But now I will say the second half, we had ourselves a ball game. We had ourselves a ball game because it felt like, okay, Georgia's chipping away. You're seeing that grit. You're seeing that fight. Alabama's starting to mix it. You add penalties into it. You have like some mixed execution spots. And then they gave Alabama one more possession. They gave them one more possession. And let me go ahead and tell you, as a former receiver, there are things you just cannot coach. You can't coach speed. It's hard to coach against it. And when somebody is just better than you at every level, it's hard to accept that as a player. But Ryan Williams, and if you hadn't heard, he's 17 years of age. The things that he does on the football field, one, Jamarcus Shepard, if you are, as the receivers coach, you are just thanking God every single day I get to coach this young brother. Because the play that he made, one, he catches it, plants both feet on, like he's between me and my laptop from the sideline, plants both feet, and makes a move where two defenders that are trying to tackle him end up hugging each other. Legit, just like, oh, you ain't who I'm supposed to tackle. And then he turns on the gates. He literally is playing like he's at PE. He is just out there doing stuff, making plays. You just can't coach stuff like this. If you're Alabama and you're Kalen DeBoer, you've gotten yourself a dog right here. He's only a true freshman on top of that. Remember, this is only the 4th game he's ever played for the University of Alabama. The future looks extremely bright for that brother, and I think for the Alabama Crimson Tide the rest of this 2024 season.
He changed his profile picture to a picture of Michael Vick holding a dog.
He different.
His eye black said kill everybody.
Dog.
Like,
built different.
That dude is, yeah, and I mean, we've talked about him a lot, obviously, over the first month of the season, but what you saw, because that was one of the big questions going into the game, right, was, is this going to be the time where he looks like a freshman? And you finally see, all right, there's a team out there, because Georgia, as good as they are, like, you know, they're going to find a way to eliminate him, right? And how limited is Alabama going to be with the explosives? And, I mean, obviously you had the touchdown, but, I mean, the catch he had in what, was it the third quarter, where it was the 50-yard catch, and he tipped it to himself.
And focus, man.
And turned around, catches it, and then runs for, 54 yards. It was remarkable. And just what he was able to do on that play, there's not a lot of dudes that can do that. And that's what, I mean, honestly, that it feels like that has been the missing piece kind of for Alabama the last few years, is you just haven't had that kind of a guy where when you need at the end of a game in a clutch situation, you need somebody to step up and take over. And now you've got that guy, and you've got him for the next 3 years, as long as you're willing to open up the piggy bank for him. But, I mean, there was a clip from, the podcast that him and Mbakwe do now, and they had Courtney Morgan on, who's the general manager, and they asked him about, like, kind of his first day in Tuscaloosa, and he says, we get off the plane in Tuscaloosa with Coach DeBoer when he gets hired, and the first thing that we did was, how do we keep Ryan Williams? How do we go and get that guy to commit back to Alabama? And you see why that was such a focal point for this staff coming in. You can't say enough about him, but I mean, Jalen Milroe, I think the other thing that we learned was, when Kalen DeBoer came over, it was, all right, so what is this offense going to look like? Because Jalen Milroe is different than Michael Penix, but you had this feeling that they were going to find a way to make it work. They were going to find a way to maybe get the most out of Jalen Milroe and unlock that full potential that we saw at times last year. But it was figuring out, how do you get that out of him consistently? And I think we can now answer, and we can now say that this is the best case scenario for Kalen DeBoer coming over to Tuscaloosa, right? What is going on with this offense now? That was by far the best game that Jalen Milroe's ever played in his career. I mean, over 350 yards passing, 2 touchdowns in the air, 100 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns running. He did have the interception, but I mean, that really wasn't on him. It was a bobbled pass by the tight end.
Got to catch that.
That was a catchable ball. But I mean, he was essentially perfect.
Yep.
On Saturday, and that's exactly what you needed. The offensive line was perfect, didn't allow a sack. And I know this is something we were texting about that you brought up in it. I honestly, after you mentioned this, I started really paying attention to it, and I noticed it constantly. The dudes on that field that were blocking and doing everything that doesn't show up on the stat sheet to help Alabama win. I mean, you had the one block on the touchdown run Jalen had. There was like the 30-yard touchdown where dude popped a guy's helmet off for Georgia, just ate a block in the backfield. And there were just so many plays. I know Kendrick Law, he got a little dinged up. That dude was doing everything in his power to help Alabama win without catching a pass. Like, that was the definition of selfless football, and it was truly every single player that was on the field knew what their role was, and they didn't care if it involved them getting the ball, blocking for somebody who was going to get the ball, whatever it took. You saw a 100% buy-in from that team on Saturday. It was truly, it was remarkable, man. That was a special effort, and on both sides, because Georgia easily could have just rolled over, waved the white flag, said it's not our night. But for them to come back the way that they did in that second half, I have a feeling that is not the first time or the only time that we're going to see those two teams play this year.
I agree 100%.
Based on what we saw on Saturday.
I agree 100%. And like I said, I was so happy to see the true attitude of the receivers. They didn't care if they were getting the ball or not. Kendrick Law wanted all the smoke. He didn't care if he was a corner, safety, linebacker. To see the receivers and the way that they were blocking their absolute ass off. They were literally trying to pancake these guys and getting after it. That's the complete game that you wanted to see from Alabama. And I thought Alabama was a complete team coming in when compared to Georgia. But the way that they went about their business was beautiful to see. And we talked about, how about getting Jeremy Bernard involved on not just passing the ball, but also running the ball as well. It was just a complete effort. I think that with Kalen DeBoer on the offensive side, his game plan was absolutely beautiful. He was able to get Jeremy Bernard involved in speed sweeps. They were making the passes easy for Jalen Milroe to execute. It just felt like a complete game at every aspect of it. Yes, and a lot of credit goes to Georgia in the second half for, continuing to chip away, continuing to fight. But you add this one to the on the record book too as another loss. It doesn't matter who's on the other side. Could have been Nick Saban, could have been Kalen DeBoer, could have been Steve Sarkisian. It could have been anybody on the other side. The way that Alabama performed on Saturday, I find it difficult that you find one team that's going to be able to beat that if they play at that level. Because that first quarter, I was truly I had chill bumps of just, oh my God, I've never seen a team look this good. I was like, that's a number 2 team in the nation that they're doing this to. This isn't Wisconsin. This isn't Western Kentucky. This ain't South. That's the number 2 team in the nation at that point. That's the number 2 team in the nation they're doing this to start the game. And Kalen DeBoer, if you ever question if he got some feistiness in him or if he has that switch, well, first off, it was a pass interference. The dude ran through his spinal cord.
It was pass interference.
Ran through his spinal cord. Went straight through the shoulder pads. If you don't think Kalen DeBoer can get worked up, oh yeah, that face started turning red. I said, oh, he got a little something to him.
I was about to say, last night was everything that, as an Alabama fan, personally, when I'm watching that game, I felt like I was in 2012 again. Like, when Alabama was just on a different level than every other team in the country, and it did not matter who lined up on the other side. I mean, it could have been, it could have been the college football all-star team. It could have been a team from the NFL, and people would have been, I think I'm going to take Bama in this one. It was just such a dominant first half performance. I mean, seriously, that was the best half of football I think I've seen Alabama play since at least, the first half of the national championship against Ohio State when Devontae Smith had like 300 yards receiving. Like, yeah, that was the best Alabama football that you've gotten to see in a long time if you're a fan. And, yep. There's a long way to go. There's still, that game in 3 weeks is going to be real interesting. But, I think certainly as it stands right now, if you see Alabama play like they showed they were capable of on Saturday, I don't think there's really anybody in the country that's going to be able to keep up with that as it stands right now. But what a weekend it was down there in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Alabama survives Georgia. They are now number 1 in the AP poll, number 2 in the coaches poll. I would say well-deserved. Yeah. Certainly. Absolutely. After having the biggest win of the season, but certainly still a long way to go. But that wasn't the only thing that happened over the weekend. We still want to hear your reaction, 205-834-9450. What you thought over the weekend, Alabama's big win, Auburn's loss on the Plains, because when we come back, we have to talk about it. He was better. Peyton Thorne was better for 3 quarters at least, but ultimately he is who we thought he was, I suppose. So when we come back here on Morning Jocks, we'll talk about what happened on the Plains as Auburn falls to Oklahoma. You're listening to Jocks 94.5.
Yes, sir. They ain't. They ain't. UGA thought they was. They ain't. Oklahoma. Well, I guess they probably saying it on the other side for Oklahoma and Auburn. Oh boy, if you missed the first segment of Morning Jocks, oh boy, Crimson Conrad was in full display, baby. And
Feeling good this morning.
Deservingly so.
Feeling good.
Deservingly so. Alabama knocks off Georgia 41-34. And that score can be kind of misleading if you didn't get a chance to watch the game. They were up 28-0 at the end of the first quarter. Yes, Alabama was. And Georgia, keeping that fighting spirit, showed up a great second half. Carson Beck actually looked like the Carson Beck that we thought he was in the second half, and went out there and gave up a good fight. But in the end, it doesn't even matter because you lost the ball game. That's a Lincoln Park reference if you didn't get it. Kind of sprinkled that one in there. But then there was another game at 2:30 there on the Plains. Oklahoma taking their first trip on the road as an SEC team. Auburn, as the game got closer, you started to figure out Oklahoma had missing some receivers, had a bunch of injuries that happened. And we kind of had a feeling that defensively, Oklahoma would still be tough. They would be competitive. And I got to give Auburn a lot of credit. The first 3 quarters, the game plan was perfect. You did everything you were supposed to do. You caught a lot of mismatches. Peyton Thorne played his tail off.
Absolutely.
Played his tail off.
I'm going to say, we'll get to what happened at the end, but up until a certain point, that was the best game he had played at Auburn in his Auburn career.
By far, no question. He was tough. I mean, he was taking hits. He was running the ball, put his body on the line, making some great throws. Cam Coleman sold on him on the first drive, but they continued to, attack. And the throws he was making, they were spot on. And then about 4 minutes and 10 seconds left in the fourth quarter, Auburn's up by 11 at this time, 21-10. And Peyton Thorne makes a mistake that, I'll put it like this. One, you have a 4-minute offense in which you have a little bit more runs than passes. And if you are a football novice, you kind of look at it as, all right, well, you could say it was third and long. It was third medium, I guess you would say, second medium. And at that point, you kind of you're banking on your defense is just going to make a stop anyway. So in my opinion, I'm thinking, why not just continue to run the ball? You could choose some more clock. If you want to take a timeout or something, you still got all 3 at that time. But Peyton Thorne makes the one mistake that you just cannot make. Great disguise by Brent Venables and the defense anyway. They lined up 6 on the front line. So they lined up 6 at the line of scrimmage and ended up only rushing 4. Because the 2 linebackers showed blitz and bailed out. As soon as Peyton Thorne rose up from the RPO and lets it go, it hits 10 right in the hands. So you're thinking, man, that's a pick. You hate to see it. 62 yards later, he finds himself in the end zone for a pick 6. And then Oklahoma gets a 2-point conversion. And for Auburn, this has to sting. Like, just in totality, it has to hurt. Because you had played exactly how you needed to. Now, granted, the end of the first half sequence was not good either. You run out of timeouts. You end up hitting a hitch route, staying in bounds. You fire alarm your field goal unit out there. You catch Oklahoma with 12 men out there, but you missed the field goal. Okay, you reset, you got an untimed down, you kick the field goal again from 27 yards, and Alex Magoo misses. So you're like, all right, it happens. It is what it is. That was probably the only stain of what was pretty much a great first half. And then this third quarter, you're like, okay, this Auburn team is really starting to figure it all out. And then the fourth quarter happens, and the mistake is made by Peyton Thorne. He throws the interception, and Oklahoma ends up taking the lead, and they end up winning the ball game. I would say I feel bad, and I kind of do because Auburn did play about as well as you possibly could. But I will say this: Jarquez Hunter only had 17 rushes.
See, and that's
17, dog.
That's my thing at the end of the day is, and again, I know it's kind of a what if, kind of, whatever, but we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. So first off, only gotten 20 carries or more one time in his career, goes for 150 yards. So you're getting close. 17 is close, but it's not 20. And I know it's a weird numbers thing, but they're 8-1 in games in his career where he's gone over 100 yards, and he has 97. And it might seem silly, but legitimately, kind of like what you're talking about, you give him the ball 1 or 2 more times late in that ball game, you probably win the game.
You put it on ice. It's on
not
ice.
even to mention. Look, if you want to do stuff to get cute, I can understand. But early on in that football game, you want to come out there and try to give Oklahoma a weird look with Sam Jackson out there. Okay.
Fourth
But
and
then
goal.
they call timeout.
4th and goal.
But then they call timeout. So the surprise is up, right? They know what you're running out there. Let's do it again. Let's not throw it to Jarquez or let Jarquez run it in from 1 yard out. Let's use our trick play that we were trying to catch him off guard with. They then call a timeout to get a better look at it, and we're still going to roll that same play out there. I mean, seriously, like, ultimately, that one play, not kidding, you give Jarquez the ball, you might win the football game
win the
off
football
that
game.
one play. And I know there's a lot of plays you can go back over the course of the game and look at and go, well, if Peyton Thorne doesn't make that throw, you probably win the football game. And that's fair, but it is so dumbfounding that, again, you don't run the football. It doesn't make sense. And I understand that Peyton Thorne, things are going well, and I understand that. But you know who he is. You know you're susceptible. You know that you've had a problem with turnovers, yet, well, we're up late. Might as well keep throwing it. Why? Why? And I do feel bad for Auburn fans because you look at, all right, we turned the ball over 4 times against Cal or whatever. We throw 4 interceptions. Man, that was a terrible loss. Can't get worse than that. Oh, now we go and play Arkansas. Oh, okay, our new quarterback throws 3 interceptions in the first half. Man, this is awful. We can't stop turning the ball over. We fumble it out of the end zone. Now you finally play a clean game for the first 55 minutes. You don't turn the ball over. That was the name of the game. You play the best defense you've played all year, and you shoot yourself in the foot at the end. Like, they're finding more and more devastating ways to lose football games. And now you get to play Georgia. That's fun. Like, this was such a winnable football game, and the fact that, I mean, you're sitting here now at 2-3. A lot of Auburn fans thought you might be 5-0 right now, at the worst 4-1, but you're 2-3. I don't know if they make a bowl game. Seriously.
I agree with you 100%.
I mean, Kentucky's going to be we saw what Kentucky brings, at least offensively, to the table. That's going to be tough. Maybe you can beat Vanderbilt. La Monroe, okay. But, I mean, right there, if you win those 3 games, you're going to have a big upset somewhere to make a bowl game at this point. Texas A&M looks pretty good. They look a lot better than they did a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, then you got Georgia, Missouri, Alabama. Like, this is... It's rough, man. It's not pretty.
Yep. Because you just had the luxury of having all 5 of these games to start the season at home. Now you're on the road to all these venues, and it hadn't been pretty on the road. And you don't think Athens is going to be absolutely insane after what just happened last week? You don't think Kentucky is feeling good about themselves and how they could possibly knock you off? And Mizzou, they got to continue to show that they're a top 10 team in the nation. So you know they about to come out and empty the clip. And we got a text message that came in, and I want him to, I don't know who it is, but they said this. They said, Hunter's not the back you guys make him out to be. Is he the best player for Auburn? ? Maybe. But if you know that, then other coaches know that too. You can't give him the ball every time and expect him to get positive yards. He says you don't understand football. I'm about to give
He's averaging almost 6 yards a carry.
Yeah, I was about to say this. Let me just go ahead and give you the Jarquez Hunter numbers just of the season. The start the year off against Alabama A&M. Yes, I understand. He only had 4 carries, 53 yards. That's an average of 13 yards per touch. Against Cal, 12 carries for 68 yards. 5.7 yards per touch. So if you give it to him twice, it's a first down. Against New Mexico, 20 carries for 152. That's 7.6 yards a carry with a touchdown. Against Arkansas, 12 carries, 67 yards for a 5.6 average. Last week against Oklahoma, 17 carries for 97 yards, which is 5.7 yards per carry. So in my mind, it's, if we give him the ball more, that means we have more yardage to obtain because he is the best running back we have in the room. So to me, it undoubtedly, I don't understand Hugh Freeze's offense to the T, but in my mind, it's give Jarquez the ball until he can't take it anymore and just let the chips fall where they may. Because obviously, if he touches it 20 times, there's a chance he could give me 150. If he touches it 17, he's touching 100. No, you hand him the damn ball because he is the best player you have on the offensive side. The offensive line, Auburn's offensive line is not that good. They played about as good as they possibly could on Saturday, and they still chose not to give him the ball. That's what I do not understand. To me, instead of having the quote-unquote RPO, let's just Forget the PO part. Forget the pass option part. Let's just run it. We can run dummy routes to just give them a look. We can spread these things out. We can make the box a little bit lighter, and by the formation, just hand him the ball. That's all you got to do. It takes the pressure off of everybody. Everybody.
I mean, I just feel bad for him, honestly, because you have to imagine how many times a game is he just kind of sitting there, and he just wants to throw his hands up and go, what do I have to do to get the ball? Like, seriously, again, it is 4th down and 1 from the 1 yard line, and you're not giving him the football, and you run some hokey play that you came up with, and it doesn't work, and you're just, and I understand, if it works, we're sitting here going, oh, look how fun that trick play was. But again, like, you're making it harder than it has to be
Exactly.
if you're Hugh Freeze. And that's really what the frustration is, I think, for a lot of the fan base is you're making it harder than it has to be. I understand a lot of teams and a lot of fan bases go through the times where it's just run the damn ball. Okay, there's a reason that they're saying that. Like, it generally is... I just don't understand where the disconnect is and why there's an unwillingness to give the best player on the offensive side your ball, like the ball. I don't understand it. Like, Cam Coleman's great. He's dropping routine passes constantly. Like, this has happened, 3 or 4 times now this year. And doesn't mean he's not still a good player, but you're going to force feed him the ball over giving it to Jarquez. Like, it just doesn't make sense why you have these short yardage situations and you won't give the ball to, arguably the best running back in the conference. Like, I know that guy that texted in probably doesn't see that or agree with that, but he's your best offensive player still at this point in time. And again, what have you had a problem with? Turning the ball over. And I know you've had some fumbles, but you've had way more interceptions than fumbles. And you're going to continue to live and die through the air late in ball games when you have had a problem with turnovers, and you can just turn around and hand it to 27. I don't know, man. I don't really know where you go from here, but it's not going to get any easier. So
It's not. Here we go. We want to hear from you. We want your reaction. 205-834-9450. You text, you call in. Let's have some fun. Let's react to what we saw over the weekend between Auburn and Oklahoma and Alabama and Georgia. Keep it locked right here on Morning JOX and JOX 94.5. Trust me, I'd love to see if Auburn could run it. Just literally.
Jarquez can run it.
Yeah, we're sure. We're sure about that. We got somebody in text line talking about it's an RPO system, which means that you need to look at the box. I played a good amount of ball. I played a fair amount of ball. I've had a bunch of playbooks. I was ingrained in the RPO system there towards the end of my career. But I do recall there are just straight up run plays in a playbook. There's a run play in an RPO based system. I promise you that, because a lot of times receivers, he'll tell the quarterbacks like, hey, they ain't reading nothing. We just need y'all to just see it if we want to call this off of a play action. Hence the run part. Like, it's run and pass option.
I was about to say, I think the name tells you there's an option to
Exactly.
run the ball.
Yeah. You got to look at the box and read it and react and everything, but there's an emphasis on run. How about you just run the ball? Simple as that.
Also, they have these things in their helmets now where they can hear what the coaches say, and the coach can 100% say, all right, I understand this is an RPO. It is not, though. You are going to run the ball here.
Yeah.
Like, that is a thing that the coach can get in their headset and say. And I understand. Again, you want to trust the guy out there to read the defense correctly. How the season has gone, I think we can agree that there have maybe been a few times. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to just say, hey, run the ball right here.
Yep.
Don't think about it. Run the football.
Absolutely.
That's all you got to do.
Absolutely. 205-834-9450. Phone lines are jam-packed. Let's go to them. Let's get some reactions for over the weekend. Let's start off. Let's go with Chris and wants to talk some ball with us this morning. What's going on this morning, Chris?
Roll Tide.
Yes,
baby.
sir.
What a game. No, you don't get to say that. Just say it from now. Because you said it, you're gonna say it in cheek, tongue in cheek with it. But what can you say, Conrad? I mean, first half you ate it clicking, but the second half we just let it fall apart, and then you feel like, yeah, you still got a lot to clear, a lot to tune up, you know, because all them fourth down conversions. Because honestly, in my opinion, what set Georgia apart, set them back, is the fact that they couldn't have an effective running game. And Carson Beck threw for 40-something yards. And I said ultimately that'll be their downfall, because they plan to catch up. And let's not bring the mood down spending time talking about the all bombs today, because let's get understand. Everybody's gonna be talking about it. It's like the game of the year. Come on, let's get this up. What do you guys think?
No, I mean, it was a heck of a game, Chris. There's no doubt about it. And I think that, you know, for the Georgia side of things, again, like, you had some guys come through late, but, you know, it was a big thing that, you know, I brought up a number of times last week, is you just kind of, Georgia doesn't have that dude that they've had in years past that can kind of just, you know, do what Ryan Williams did for Alabama, quite frankly. And, you know, there were opportunities, you know, early in that game. There were some looks that Georgia had, they just weren't able to capitalize on, and they were able to capitalize on more of those in the second half. But no, you can definitely tell that, you know, they're still a good football team, but they're just, you know, they're human now. And that's not something we've really been able to say over the last 3 years, but that's, you know, that's where they are. They're still one of the best teams in the country. But again, they remind me a lot of Alabama the last couple of years, right? You're good enough to beat anybody, but everything kind of has to go right for you in order to do that. You don't have players that can just take over a game and turn the tide for you like you did with Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey and guys like that. So that's just kind of, that's how I see it, at least.
Absolutely. Let's go to Casey in Union Chapel, wants to talk with us. What's going on this morning, Casey?
Hey, guys, I got 4 words for y'all this morning. Kill everybody, roll Tide.
Hey, there we go.
I will say that the picture of, I can't remember who the other Alabama player is, but where you have Ryan Williams with his eye black that says kill everybody, and the other guy for Alabama that it's Psalms, it's a Bible verse, and they're just right there, and it's like, yep, the 2 different sides of the coin on this one.
I love it, man. I love it. Let's go to Larry, wants to talk some ball with us. Larry, what's happening?
Hey, guys, enjoy the show always. I want to say something, guys, and I've never said it since I've been on the air, but my middle name is Ray. I know what y'all to call me Larry Ray, but I want Damien to admit something, because Conrad knows what I'm about to say. Talk about rocking and rolling with the Crimson Tide. I mean, guys, that first half was some of the passes that Milroe threw, especially the little pass to Jam into the end zone. I mean, you couldn't throw it any better than that. I'm sure y'all noticed that. But it was beyond exciting. But talk about deja vu. Is it not? Was it 17 when Tua was the freshman and Devontae was the freshman, and then two number twos, one on the offense and one on the defense, both of them freshmen making huge plays? I mean, I don't know what else to say. That was kind of was amazing, absolutely amazing. But you know, you got to give Georgia credit. They fought back. They made it a game. But let me ask you this, guys. Did you not notice, in reference to our defensive line, that there were several young linemen that you didn't see a lot of this year making big plays? Did y'all notice that?
Yeah, no, I saw. I know Coat made he was out there. He made a couple of big plays there on the defensive line. I mean, I thought everybody. I mean, they just kind of knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, that front seven was for real.
All around. I mean, and Quay Russaw to come back from the injury that he had a couple of weeks ago to come back and have as big of a game as he did, that was.
Dog.
I was not expecting that. I honestly didn't know if he was even going to be able to play.
What about the Smith kid from Carver from Montgomery, number 20? I think he's a redshirt freshman. I think that there were so many different guys making plays on the field.
Yep.
And then of course early in the game the quick receiver from, I think he's from Geneva. Y'all know who I'm talking about.
Oh, Emmanuel Henderson.
Henderson. He's another. He's pretty fast too.
Fast.
But, I mean, there was guys but come on, you know what I'm talking about, Damien. You're an ex-receiver. You can't teach. You've already said this, but I mean, to catch the ball on what, about the 40 or 50 yard line, whatever it was,
and get up out of there.
Catch the ball and then just make us. I mean, juke two guys that look like they both run into themselves and they just pull away. I mean, you can't teach it.
Can't
That's
teach it, dog.
ability.
He built different, man.
I mean, that was. I mean, talking about drama. I mean, because you got to give Georgia credit. They fought their butts back and made it a game. But then number two on our defense to pick his pocket. They beat him several plays in the second half. But
Exactly.
He got his revenge. But, guys, just want to say what a great game. And I have to agree with you guys in reference to Auburn. I think I'd give it to him 35 times.
I'm telling you.
I hate it for Auburn because, if the wrong – I mean, I watched the game, and they played a heck of a game, and just right at the end, it was a disaster. But what about the Kentucky front seven? They went into Oxford and made a –
yeah,
they put it on them.
Yeah, absolutely, Larry. Man, we appreciate you. Yeah, Kentucky. That Georgia matchup was not an anomaly. Nah, they for real on the defense.
That defense is
they for real
filthy, absolutely filthy. Yeah, I was super impressed. I thought Vandegrift looked pretty good. That was the best game he played for Kentucky.
He's a lot tougher than I thought too.
Absolutely, I was I was impressed by Kentucky, and I mean for the way that things ended at Georgia with punting, on their side of the field late in that game, the controversial decision that was, and then to go for it in a way riskier situation on fourth down on your side of the field and convert it on that huge pass to Barry and Brown, and that was kind of that. I was super impressed by Kentucky.
Absolutely. We'll continue to get your reaction on the other side. Tom, Wardam, Don Montreal. We see y'all. We're going to make sure we give y'all some time on the other side to get your reaction. And you can line up too, 205-834-9450. Let's recap and react to what happened over the weekend. Auburn, Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia. Keep it locked right here on Morning JOX and JOX 94.5. All night. Let's go. Can't say that part, no, it's beat. My apologies, or at least that's what they tell us it's supposed to say. I like my music uncut. I like my music uncut.
It's better that way.
It is
It's the way it was intended.
Welcome into Morning JOX, JOX 94.5, Damian Mitchell, Conrad Van Order, and of course, you are wonderful listeners. We appreciate everybody on the JOX text line and appreciate everybody calling in. Want to make sure we get your reaction from over the weekend. Of course, Auburn falls to Oklahoma. Auburn now 2-3 on the season. Alabama continues to stay undefeated as they knock off the Georgia Bulldogs in an absolute showdown there in Tuscaloosa. Let's continue to get your reaction on the phone lines. Got to talk to him. War damn Don. What's happening, big dog?
What's up, fellas? Happy Monday to you.
Hey, same to you, brother.
And Conrad and the Alabama buddies out there, congratulations on your victory. But
appreciate it.
One thing that they're not talking about, and you won't, but you did win the game. You didn't blow it like we did. But guys, you blew a 28-0 lead, for goodness sake.
What happened at the end of the game?
Oh, so we're doing that this morning,
What was the final
Don?
score? What was the final score?
No. I just had to throw that little barb in there because I got my own problems.
Yeah, exactly.
I was about to say, yeah. That's,
No.
Deflection is not good. It's not healthy. At least that's what therapy taught
it's
me.
not. It's not. But guys, everything you said about my game, I can't agree with you more, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. We had the ball, and you know what, Damien, you're right. Jarquez, he could probably got about 8 or 9 of the scaries on that last drive before we threw the interception.
Yep.
And, I mean, we already had ran 4 minutes off the clock.
Chewing it.
Chewing the clock up. And even if we run the ball on third down without throwing the ball, and even if we don't try to kick a field goal, and I want to kick the field goal, that guy, I don't know what's happened to that field goal kicker. I have no idea what's happened to him. He's supposed to be good. But anyway, you put them deep, and if you punted, they probably would have had the ball inside the 10-yard line, had to go leap the field in 3 minutes. So guys, I just don't get that call. And Conrad, what you said about the fourth down play on the goal line, they called timeout. Why do you run the same stupid play?
That was
It makes
exactly
no
my
sense,
thought,
man.
Don.
I mean, my goodness gracious. I always joke with you, Damien, about Gus Malzahn. Gus used to do that. He'd have Cam Petaway or Kerryon Johnson or whoever back there in the back there trying to run Wildcat, call timeout and run the play again, and they would always stop them. I mean,
Well, you the one that said you
sense.
wanted him back just a couple weeks ago, did you not?
I did, and did Dion and them not kill them the other night?
See,
Yeah,
hey.
that didn't go well for Gus.
At all.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't, guys. But hey, listen, it is what it is. I just this summer I bragged about Hugh Freeze all summer.
Show no.
And everything, and my friends, he is letting us down. My players deserve better. And for 55 minutes, Peyton Thorne played the game of his life, but the real Peyton Thorne came out on that last play. I mean, I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, this is too good to be true. This is too good to be true.
I gotta ask you, Don. Do you think Auburn makes a bowl game still?
No, I do not.
Hey, you even hesitate.
No, I do not. And we're going on the road for 3 games. If we would have to get lucky to be 5-7 right now, in my opinion.
And think about this, man. In all seriousness, think about how bad it was last year because you didn't have the dudes. And now that you actually have the guys, you're taking a step back. Like that's
They're better in every statistical way except for turnovers. Pretty much.
Yes, but remember this one last thing, guys. So I know you got other callers. We could have got Cam Ward. Imagine where we would be. I mean, I'm not going to say we'd be 5-0 right now, but I don't think we'd be 2-3 if we had Cam Ward. We had an opportunity to get Cam Ward and my good old brother Hugh. No, we're fine with Peyton Thorne. We're going to be fine with Peyton Thorne.
And now look at you, 2-3.
I will say, I thought that touchdown should have stood in the Miami game at the end.
I was up here for the Friday night show.
I think that Virginia Tech should have won that game.
That was so like we were having the show, and then if you look up and all I see is just bodies and coming off the pile. I was like, what just happened? What happened? I agree with you too, because his butt is out of bounds.
Whether it was right or wrong, I don't think there was enough to overturn the call on the field.
Exactly. I'm with you, man. Montreal, got about a minute, man. What's going on, big dog?
Oh, how y'all doing this morning, man?
Hey, I can't complain about a thing, brother. Roll Tide.
Me either, Roll Tide. You know how I go.
Me too.
But I just wanted to say, so I was sitting at my uncle's house. I've been driving up to Jacksonville for a while, about past month or so. And as I was watching Kalen DeBoer go off on the pass interference call, in my head I just said the new Nick. And I said it out loud. And I don't want to compare him to Nick because Kalen is a great coach in his own way. But with that being said, he's getting the players in the right situation and he's doing the right thing with the ball, and I love it.
I'm telling you, man. It's beautiful to see. Montreal, we appreciate you as always. Oh, what a weekend.
What a great way to start my morning.
I'm telling you, man. Conrad didn't even have no coffee, y'all. He was just off of pure Crimson energy.
Feel great. Did the Titans get their first win tonight?
Hell yeah, we do. What you talking about?
All right.
Snoop Huntley on the other side. Will Levis is my quarterback too, so. Back in Cuba's next.